That could be the thesis of this whole thing. I wish there was more.
A comic, animated series.
In a different world, this would have been an awesome foundation to a trilogy. This is the best Falcon design.
I like the beat up, broken down Falcon way better than Lando's Falcon. I know you like
opinion.
it. Yeah. When this thing's hitting, I think it's awesome. But then like there are some parts where I'm like, that's dumb. Like that was not the choice.
This movie has always existed very positively in my mind. And I was expecting to just give a very glowing review here. And much to my surprise, I'm a bit split.
Even more fascinating than the movie itself is how this thing got made.
Is this movie underrated or overrated? You know, what do you think?
I told you we shouldn't have snuck in here. We'll wait for things to calm down, and we'll come back and we'll talk to Dryden. You know, I don't think Han's girlfriend's a good guy. Now, where's he going? Man, didn't think it could get any darker in here. Stop. I'm trying to see Han. Stop. What? Stop. Come here. Look.
One man couldn't have done this alone.
Is that Darth Maul? I think he goes by Maul now. You know, I'm really starting to think Han Solo's girlfriend is a bad guy. What's he doing here? I think he runs Crimson Dawn. In fact, I think he puts the Crimson in Crimson Dawn, which is... No! Like, what's he doing in Han Solo's movie? Why are you activating your lightsaber? You're a hologram. Shh. Maul is talking. What about Han Solo? Who cares about Han Solo? Maul is... I care about Han Solo!
Who is Han Solo?
That's what I'm saying! You crashed his movie!
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Dune Sea, a show all about that galaxy far, far away and beyond. My name's Seth.
And I'm Connor.
So, Solo.
A Star Wars story.
Mm.
Yeah, we had this in low B tier on our tier list.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, higher than Rogue One,
Yes.
believe it or not.
Whew. People had their pitchforks out.
For that one. They didn't seem to care that we had Solo and B, but a lot of people seem to take umbrage with the fact that we had the Rogue One and C tier. We corrected the record on that one, but
Sure. Yeah.
will we correct the record today? Does Solo stay in B tier by the end of this video? We're kind of slowly making our way through the legacy content, if you will. Can you really call Solo a legacy content? Legacy for us, because our show started last year.
It's true. But I mean, also like 2018 was a little while ago now.
I know.
Yeah.
You can see the gray in my hair. So
I don't even want to talk about the gray in my hair.
So little fun fact here. Solo, a Star Wars story, released May 25th of 2018, directed by Ron Howard and sorta by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. We'll get into it. Starring Alden Ehrenreich, Donald Glover, Emilia Clarke, Woody Harrelson, and Joonas Suotamo. A 6.9 on IMDb and a 63% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And people seem to be kind of lukewarm about this movie. I feel like you find people who really love it.
Yeah.
And find people who just think it's fine. I don't think you really have a ton of people who hate it.
Yeah.
This isn't a movie that I see people out there that it's not like The Last Jedi where you have, there are people who it's one side or the other. And it's not like
it's almost as if their existence to Star Wars is defending this movie, and then their existence to Star Wars is hating this movie.
Yeah.
And everything that it stands for. Yeah. Solo's not that.
No, I feel like people either think this movie is kind of underrated or they're like, it's all right.
Yeah.
And they move on.
Yeah.
So what was your experience watching this back in the day, back in 2018?
Well, so this was such a weird time because I mean, like, again, we just brought up The Last Jedi. So it had come out in December the year before.
Yeah.
And then this comes out in May. So what, like 5 months later? Yeah. If that, yeah. So like, it's hot off the heels, but I think that we were all really confused by Last Jedi because we were just kind of like, well, where's this going now?
Yeah.
And that like, then you watch this and you're just like, I don't know if this is what the fandom needs right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is fine, but is that really what we need? They're like, we need some more closure. You can't just, and then I'm thinking back too, that like, you know, with Rogue One, it was kind of similar.
Well, it was, but it wasn't. Like they had a whole year. And I think that was huge because you gave the fans time to simmer on TFA.
Yeah.
And to theorize and have fun with that movie. And then Rogue One felt like an intermission.
Yeah.
Like, hey, have some fun for a minute, you know? But then Solo comes around and it feels like it almost feels like an intrusion in a way. Like it's weird. It's like I'm trying to think, like, you know, when you're over at a friend's house and like your friend is arguing with their mom.
Oh,
and you're just like,
and you're just trying to eat a pizza real quietly.
Yeah. And you're like, that's what Solo kind of felt like. Like Solo was you, you know, watching the fandom and with The Last Jedi. It was like, it's not really your fault.
No,
that all this drama is happening, but you don't feel welcome either. And you know, it's just an awkward situation for everybody. I don't know if that analogy made sense to anyone, but
makes sense to me. I've been in a friend's house when he's arguing with his mom.
Yeah, we were just kind of petting the dog.
Yeah,
yeah. So weird time. I remember like being for sure that they were going to delay it and push it to December. I was like, there's just no way. They've kept up this December release for 3 movies and we knew 9 was going to come out in December. It's like, why are they sticking to this May release schedule? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I remember being I was sure. I was like, the announcement's coming anytime. They're going to push this. And then they didn't, which was bizarre to me. I remember that.
A lot of this movie is kind of bizarre.
It is.
Yeah.
But it ended up kind of being interesting when you watched it. So 1 minute review. What do you think?
So I guess let me back up that like Han Solo is my favorite good guy. Okay. So, you know, preface with that, I guess that like, I find this movie weirdly charming. Okay. Like for all of its flaws and for all of like, cause when you look at it, I mean, it's clearly like kind of Frankenstein together. Like there are several ideas and several it says there's only 2 writers. I don't believe that at all. It says that one guy and then 2 other guys produced it and directed it. I don't believe that at all. I feel like there was lots of hands in this thing trying to make it almost like how Rise of Skywalker feels a little bit, you know, it feels almost like some puppeteering where it's like, we're just trying to make this so people like it and it makes some money and then we can just keep on going. But you know, with all that being said, I still think it's fun. I think the cast is great. I think the characters are fun. I really wish this was a Disney Plus series. I think that like if this had a little bit more time, I think this would be great. I don't know why they haven't just greenlit a solo TV show, do 3 episodes about Han and Chewie, 3 episodes about Lando, 3 episodes about Kira. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
Money, baby. Like, I mean, like that's so strange to me. Cause again, it even kind of looks like Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there you go. I mean, I don't know. I just kind of word vomited everywhere. That was way more than a minute, but yes, that like, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
But you like this movie.
I do. I have fun with it. I don't know that like, hopefully we can kind of get to the bottom of that. Cause I think that like when this thing's hitting, I think it's awesome. And but then like there are some parts where I'm like, that's dumb. Like I'll just straight up say that like, that was not the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Briefly before I get into my 1 minute review, we'll talk about production stuff later in the show. But when you said writers, that was actually one of the reasons for the production shakeup was because there was just the one writer, like Lawrence Kasdan wrote the script. Yeah. And I don't know if this is speculation or confirmed, but the Miller and Lord, they're known for being more improv and they were having actors. Oh, this is confirmed. Sorry. That they were improving a lot and Kasdan was upset that they weren't sticking to his script. Yeah. And so that's part of the reason for the shakeup. So I think that actually it was really written by the one guy with the one screenplay.
Well, that's
kind of why those other, like, it was more everything else. Cause there's 2 editors, like one of the editors left, like it's crazy, the production. So
and that's kind of why I said it is because I knew Lord and Miller like to do their thing.
Yeah.
In which it works for some people. It doesn't work for others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I'm kind of with you where it's like, this is a bizarre sort of movie because if you take the movie in a vacuum, I think the reaction is much different because like you said, it's pretty fun. It's pretty charming.
Yeah.
But it was plagued by all these issues. And then I think Disney's response to the movie was like they took all the wrong lessons from it.
Yeah.
Which you're right. They should have continued it. They should have continued the best parts of this.
Yeah.
So my 1 minute review is that like this movie has always existed very positively in my mind.
Mhm.
Because back in the day, Han Solo is not my favorite character. In fact, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't not like him, but he just never stood out to me that much. I'm a big Luke fanboy. You guys know that.
Mhm.
So I didn't have much expectation for this movie going into it, but when I watched it, I remember really enjoying it. And so it's always existed very positively for me. And I was expecting to just give a very glowing review here. And much to my surprise, I'm a bit split. On one hand, I love this movie still.
Yeah.
It's pure swashbuckling fun, action adventure, space movie, in its purest form. Yet on the other hand, there's kind of nothing consequential about this movie. It seems only interested in giving Han all of his stuff for A New Hope. Like, it's just like, it feels like this movie has a checklist. And any emotional depth that's in this movie isn't really explored. It feels like it's setting it up to be explored, but then nothing happens because Disney didn't pursue anything after it. So I'm very torn. I love this movie, but I feel like for a lot of shallow reasons. Like, I think the action is really flashy and fun, and I love I think that really that's the main thing. I think the action is really fun, and I think that the movie really moves, but I'm having difficulty finding any depth to this movie. And this is really just because, I mean, let's be real. We have a show. This is what we do. We have to, we get deep into the weeds and we're looking at it. But to your average viewer, they may not care about that. And that fun action and just good swashbuckling fun may be all you really need to have a good time with this movie. But I had struggled, just for my process when we do these shows, these episodes, like writing things down. I was having difficulty finding like any depth other than that was cool. That was a neat shot.
On this rewatch, though, I will admit, it felt a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I could see that.
Because, like, okay, so you got lovesick hero who just wants to be, a swashbuckling kind of pirate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. You've got girlfriend who wants to kill her boss with a blade that even splits like this.
Yeah, but she didn't want to kill her boss till the end.
I mean, I think that she wanted to get out. I'm throwing stuff out there.
Okay.
You have a companion that doesn't speak English, kind of only says one phrase. I mean, yeah. And then you've got, I don't really know how Lando and Beckett fit in, but you've got them too. So I guess they're, Rocket and Drax. But like, it's still like the formula is kind of there.
Yeah.
And I think actually the movie's at its best when it's them doing their thing.
Oh yeah.
Together.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what to take from that. I don't know if like that was done on purpose, but it is weird because like this movie is right around the other Guardians films. So it's just, I don't know.
It's got like I said, it's pure swashbuckling fun. Like that's what I love most about this movie. And this movie moves too.
It does. Yeah.
It continues to just fly and you get new sequence after new sequence and new sequence. And I was watching some reviews today back from 2018 to see kind of what the consensus was. And I have like a couple things stood out to me, like Chris Stuckman. I'm a fan of a lot of his reviews. And he said this movie feels like a series of adventures with someone who kind of looks like Han Solo. And that's kind of his summation of the movie. And I can't say I disagree with that.
It does, again, as I said, Frankenstein together. It seems like several different little movies.
Yeah,
put
it feels
together.
like just like serialized, right? Like several serialized things, like you have this happens and this happens. But I think the reason it feels like that is a point that Cosmonaut Variety Hour, Marcus, makes in his video, where he pointed out that this is the only Star Wars movie that has a singular plot line. I didn't realize that. There's no B and C plot. You follow one group of people the entire time.
Yeah, but I guess it's different because what makes this one different, though, is everyone has their own motive, though. It's on the ship, so it does make it different.
But you're not cutting around. And so it keeps things very focused, very streamlined. And I think that's why it feels like you're jumping from one thing to the next.
Yeah, because you're not going over to the Empire to see what's going on in the Death Star and going back to Tatooine to see what's going on with Luke and the droids. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is interesting. Yeah.
Because it just sticks with the heroes pretty much the whole time. It's their perspective.
The only time, and that's why the only time, like this movie doesn't really have a villain either. Like, yes, Dryden is a villain, but you get like 2 scenes with him. And you only get those scenes when the heroes are with him.
If he's even really, like, I mean, he's almost like a force of nature. That like he's just, he's a crime lord. Unfortunately, that's just how the Star Wars galaxy is all built up and everything. Yeah,
an antagonistic force, if you will.
Definitely. Yeah,
because it's just that one thing. I think it makes it. Yeah, it's more stylized to TV, maybe. But you are just following this one thing the entire time, and that means that your characters have to be great. And that's something I will give this movie. The cast is awesome.
I'll come out and say it. I like a lot of these guys better than the characters in Rogue One because they're more fleshed out, which maybe that's because you're not cutting back and forth between Krennic and the crew of Rogue One, that you get more time to kind of spend with these characters.
I think it's because they have more personality. Like Han oozes swagger the entire movie.
Yeah, he does.
Now, I'll be real. I don't think Han Solo has much of a character arc in this movie, if at all. But
I was going to say, he doesn't really, it just... Any lesson he learns kind of just preps him for the character that we see in episode 4, which
is fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think he's carried by that charisma the entire time, and you need that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, compare that to a character like Jin, great character. If you have an ensemble cast, I feel like you need a very potent character trait to drive you and make you stand out.
Yeah.
Like, look at everybody in this cast, right? You have Han, swagger and confidence to a fault, right? That's going to make you stand out.
Yeah.
Compare that to Jin, our main character in Rogue One. It's like, she's
doesn't want to be there.
Like, that's not a very like prominent character trait. Again, I like Jin.
Yeah.
But that's why I think she's not as memorable.
Yeah.
And then Lando. Again, Lando is another charismatic, cocky.
Yes.
And like is a foil to Han.
Yeah.
Compare that to, say, Cassian. Cassian, I think, is probably the best character from Rogue One.
Yeah.
Stands out, or maybe.
So good, he got his own TV show.
Yeah. And then L3 is kind of your K2. I think K2 is better, actually. It's the one that's.
I was going to say, I will not give the movie. Okay. I don't like it when droids are too human. L3 is way too human.
Yes.
I think some of the stuff she says is funny. I could even get behind that maybe Lando's into her. I could maybe get behind that.
Yeah.
But like, there's just some of the things she says that just like takes me out of the movie. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm not, she does take me out of it a few times too. But anyway, I think that we're very driven by the cast here.
Yeah.
So, I guess the main thing I'd like to kind of get to the bottom of this episode while we talk about Solo is like, is this movie underrated or overrated? What do you think?
I think it's underrated.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that more people should talk about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have said that before we did this, and
oh no.
I'm still torn. So I'm not decided. I'm going to wait for our conversation.
You're going to find it in the review, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds so like pinky up, like, but I just have fun with this kind of stuff, looking for like depth and character and like, and at the end of the day, it's Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot
Space
of
wizards.
depth to be found in Star Wars, but I think that this movie uniquely lacks quite a bit of it.
Well, but I mean, let's be honest. This isn't those, I think that like at the end of the day, this movie proves why Han is the way he is and Luke is the way he is. Like that Han has a similar kind of arc that Luke kind of has, where he experiences rebellion and everything, and like, a higher purpose. He chooses not to take it. Now I want the ship. You know what I mean? That and I mean, he's kind of dealt the same hand Luke is. He doesn't have a wizard like on his shoulder, and I think that's part of it. Is that he had Beckett on his shoulder.
But here's my main thing. I think here's my main point. Nothing consequential happens in this movie.
Well, it can't, unfortunately.
But look at the prequel trilogy. Okay.
Yeah.
That whole trilogy is consequential, and I think George deserves a lot of credit for that, because you are waiting for the like moments, the whole time, and you get those, but I think you get them a little more naturally in the prequel trilogy.
Oh, definitely.
Now, there are a couple that I think are a little tongue in cheek. Like while I love it, the Anakin Skywalker meet Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's definitely a spoon-fed moment to the audience, I think, in The Phantom Menace.
That's for your uncle.
Yeah. But like just seeing Yoda though on the Jedi Council, I think that's very natural. Of course he would be there. Of course Yoda would be on the Jedi Council, and just to see that, I think that the world is built so well in the prequels to like inform you to the original trilogy, which I love.
Yeah.
And to the point where fans were upset that you didn't get more Darth Vader in the suit.
Yeah.
Because that would have been the easy fan service thing, is to like make all of episode 3, heck, the whole prequel trilogy just about that.
Yeah.
But you get him the last 5 minutes of Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Contrasting with this movie, I think there's nothing the only things that happened in this movie of consequence are just a checklist to get Han Solo his stuff. And I think that's weird. That's like, you're telling me that Han Solo doesn't change his wardrobe, his toolkit, his attitude, really? He gets all of that in a matter of 48 hours.
I mean,
then he doesn't change it for 10 years.
I mean, he's kind of puppy doggy, and then he's in love with Kira. And then I think that really does kind of like I think that it kind of turns him off to, relationships or whatever. Yeah. I think that you could give him that. Yeah.
And I'm not going to give the movie no credit. I think there is something there, but I think that there's one too many moments though, where it's like,
what's the worst?
Here, I listed them out. Like, I think that we could have done with half of these. First of all, I can't stand the Solo thing. That's one of my biggest gripes with this movie.
Really? That doesn't bother me.
Really?
It doesn't. I'll tell you the one that bothers me the most. I hate the fact that Beckett takes apart that gun and gives it to him.
Yeah.
And then I will give it is kind of cool that that's the gun that kills Beckett.
Yeah.
But no. That dude has one of the coolest silhouettes in all of Star Wars, and you're telling me the gun was just handed to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, just thrown to him, whatever. Give me a break. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like a checklist. So you have that, you have the dice.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make the dice happen because of The Last Jedi.
Well,
it was such a brief thing in A New Hope. It was in the background.
That's a thing on, I remember calling that on Facebook, that as soon as Last Jedi came out, I said, mark my words, Solo's about those stupid dice. I guarantee it. And they were a big deal in it. It was I'm calling it a year in advance, or 6 months in advance. That this is what this is about.
So more of them, you have meeting Chewbacca, which that's awesome.
It was.
Okay, that's great.
Again, the movie's hitting when they're all hanging out.
And that kind of needs to happen, right? So I'm not giving movie hate for that, but it's just they keep compounding. The gun. Chewbacca. Yeah, that's too long. We're going to need to give you a nickname. It's like, did we need that line of dialogue?
That felt very much like the MCU.
Did you need that? Just call him Chewie. You don't need that.
Yeah.
And Chewbacca's not even that long of a name.
Yeah.
Now, I would have accepted this if maybe he's like, your name's Chewbacca, and he had 4 names.
He does. Isn't it really long?
Maybe, but
I thought it is long.
He should have said that or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That line annoys me.
Yeah.
And then the sure thing, Han, again, cute in the moment, but these things keep compounding.
I love that.
Wearing Beckett wearing Lando's ROTJ helmet.
Tom tells Screech's outfit.
I didn't know his name.
That's his character.
Wearing that. Of course, the Kessel Run.
Yeah.
I hate you. I know.
Yeah.
The Falcon in general, right? Teasing Jabba the Hutt. What is left of Han Solo's character that they seriously? I'm asking the question. What's left? The only things that are left that I can think of is how did he get his jacket?
Yeah. Very Wolverine origins. Fett. Yeah.
And I challenge anybody, what else is left that he doesn't get within 48 hours in this movie?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Some of this stuff is really cool and needs to happen.
You didn't even say my favorite callback.
Oh, what was your favorite callback?
At the very end, he does the thing and grabs the card.
Yes, you're right.
Which is the thing that he does in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
When they hug and stuff like that. And I'm just I love it. He's checking his wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
So I think cut these in half. And I like them a lot more. I like most of these individually.
Yeah.
Except for the Solo thing is really the only one I really don't like.
Gotcha.
The Chewbacca line is goofy, but I can accept it.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm fine with. It's just there's too many of them. It feels like, oh my gosh, really? We're showing you, okay, this is how he got his gun. This is how he got his ship. This is how he got his best friend. This is all of it. Okay, you're speed running his entire character.
Very Wolverine origins. That's almost what it feels like.
So
how he got his jacket and his motorcycle.
That's one of my biggest issues with this movie is it feels like it's.
And maybe Disney knew from the get-go that they weren't going to make more. So they were just let's just put it all into one movie.
No way. They knew.
Maybe during production. That's what I'm getting at. They were this just isn't working. We're just got to just put it all in. Who cares?
I don't know. I think that with the ending of this movie, they were planning on sequels.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, because Alden was signed on for 2 more movies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
he no longer signed on?
No, I don't think so. I think those contracts went out a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. It's a shame.
I think Disney was more interested in the iconography of Han Solo than the character of Han Solo.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Mhm.
And that's kind of one of my issues with it. On when I really started to sit and simmer about it. Cause like I had a couple eye roll moments when I was watching it. And like the Chewbacca line was one of them.
Yeah.
The Solo line was one of them. One thing that I will admit grew on me this time around. I never liked the Imperial March being like an in-universe thing. Yeah. But it grew on me because I think it has a great payoff. So like you see that scene where he walks up, you hear the kind of propagandistic version of the Imperial March.
Yeah.
But then when it smash cuts to Han in the mud,
yeah,
you get this like, oh, shoot, this is real version of it. And I think that's a great payoff because it's like, oh, that's how propaganda is, right?
Yeah.
It's like this clean,
once you get
like,
in the situation.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this is cool. Come join. It's great. And then, oh no, this is reality.
Yeah.
So now that I've seen that, I have less of an issue with it. So it grew on me a little bit.
How'd you feel about the man coming back and helping out with this a little bit?
George himself.
I was talking about John.
Oh, John Williams.
John Williams. He wrote the theme for this movie.
I do like the music. In this
I
movie.
like the music too. All except, I will admit, I think Infus Nest theme is too epic for that character.
I also agree. I said this goes too hard for no reason.
I was about to say, I think it's too ridiculous. Like it's just so over the top. But other than that,
it's a great track though.
It is. It is. I just like, it is, again, it's odd that like this character doesn't deserve that. It's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is too much though.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing I'll kind of say about that part is about like this inconsequential aspect of this movie, like how nothing kind of happens in it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest telltale sign of this is we were trying to come up with a skit for the beginning of our show.
Yeah.
And we have a kind of formula and we do known Star Wars, little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
We do a parody of an iconic scene.
Yeah.
There are none in this movie.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm not even saying that tongue in cheek. The only one that we could think of was the Darth Maul scene.
Yeah, because that's the only one anyone wants to ever talk about.
Can any of you really think of a scene that really sticks in your mind?
I like the Kessel Run.
I like the Kessel Run too. I think that's really it.
Yeah.
Is the only scene that really sticks out.
I love that shot where Lando slides to L3.
Yeah,
like where the camera like tracks and follows him through all that madness. Yeah. But anyway.
I know I'm sounding like a hater. I actually
are a hater.
I do like this movie, but I just think that it's like it really struggles to be anything but average.
I think at times it does feel soulless. Like it feels like it's just kind of like, well, this is what's left because we had to like, pillage what we needed out of it or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I do think there are moments though where this movie truly shines as like, I think that it is. So Star Wars has always been like two halves, right? You have the fun swashbuckling adventure side, and you have the mysticism, the Force, the Jedi, the Sith stuff. And it usually like intertwines, and you have great like it pairs well.
Yeah.
This is like if you cleaved that in half and this is like pure, undiluted Star Wars action adventure, like that side without the mysticism.
Yeah.
Like in that, it does that, I think, really perfectly.
Well. Yeah. And I think too that while you were talking earlier about how, it doesn't really have any lesson or anything like that, I think what hurts it, there aren't any Jedi or anything like that to kind of help.
And those are usually the characters who bring that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like you don't have an Obi-Wan or anything. You have Beckett.
Well, Rogue One has good messages and they don't really have, you have Vader,
but I mean, the Jedi are still kind of present like through Chirrut and stuff like that. Yeah. That like, there's still that kind of.
It's about like fighting the good fight, like no matter what. And Han doesn't really, he's a scoundrel. You don't really have that. You don't have the messaging, right?
You got a little bit with like Infus Nest, a little bit with
a tiny bit.
I get it with the timeline and everything, but I'm like, he encounters a rebellion, then 10 years later, he encounters another one, but this one he decides to help out with. You know what I mean?
I will admit, I do kind of like that shot where Infus is like, hey, you should come join up. And he's just like, he just, that's it. Just now, I appreciate that the movie didn't make him redo his character arc from A New Hope.
Yeah.
So while I am, on one hand, I do lament the fact that Han doesn't get enough character. I'm glad that one of the options is either no character arc or just repeat the character arc. I'm fine with no.
I think that
drives me nuts.
Repeating stuff is a terrible idea.
Yeah. And it's especially annoying in a prequel because then it's like, Well, then what's the point? Like you're just bringing the guy back. Like I feel like Andor is getting dangerously close to doing
that's
that.
the thing I'm scared about, where it's like he's learning all these lessons, but he's a tool at the beginning of Rogue One.
Yeah.
So what? He's just going to throw away all of his lessons?
Now I'm confident that they will.
Figure
the writing in that show has been
He'll
excellent.
probably hit his head and forget everything he learned.
No, I think that the rebellion is going to force him to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
By the in season 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Which character degradation is great. Like to make another comparison, Better Call Saul, I talk about this all the time. Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Better Call Saul is a prequel to Breaking Bad, and Saul starts out, Jimmy McGill is his real name, as a good guy.
Jimmy. Yeah.
And you see his degradation into the character he will become.
Yeah.
And it's great because there's no repeat character arcs. Now he doesn't have a real big character arc in Breaking Bad anyway, but I think Better Call Saul is one of the best prequels ever written when it comes to just being a prequel.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't have this problem where it's like trying to checklist everything. So there's actually a moment in the last season, there's just a big time jump and he's Saul all of a sudden. You don't see how he gets his Cadillac. You don't see how he gets his storefront. You do actually, but you don't see how he gets like his big sign out the door.
Yeah.
Like all this iconic stuff.
He's already that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's more about the character and how the character degrades. And I'm like, you get some of it. You get teases. You get enough. But I really appreciate how they did this. And it just makes me think, like with the stuff with Han, like that's why I said I think they focus too much on the iconography rather than the character. Like, show me why this guy's a scoundrel. Like, show me him getting real screwed by the good guys. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to join the rebellion. Show me that story.
Show me. I would have loved. I was sad that we didn't get to see his time in the Imperial Academy.
Yeah,
being a pilot. It sucks that like we just smash cut to him being a mud trooper. Although I do appreciate that. I like that it shows like real war in Star Wars. Like, oh my gosh,
that scene's great.
This is crazy trench warfare.
I wrote kind of a tongue-in-cheek note on that. I said the Mimban scene is what Rogue One wishes it would be.
I mean, it is true. I mean, like everyone talks about how crazy, like Rogue One showed us real war. I'm like, dude, watch Solo. Like, oh my gosh, that looks like World War I.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. I have a random question. I might be derailing it a little bit. Do you think the movie would have worked better? I've heard this before. That if it was called Kira, a Star Wars story, and you just kind of, would the movie have worked better? You don't think so?
I think that she is great as you get into sequel territory.
Yeah, exactly. That I wish that you would, again, I'll admit, if they said this tomorrow, hey, we're going to do like, we're reworking Calrissian Chronicles or the Lando show into just a spin-off, I would be, I'm here for it.
Oh, me too.
Yes,
me too.
I would be. This show already kind of looks like that weird bridge from Ahsoka into a Star Wars movie. Yeah. It's
honestly, my main issues with this would be solved if there was more.
Yeah.
Because
I think I've written right here, I think that this would benefit from 10 to 15 minutes longer, maybe 20 minutes longer. Yeah. I don't think that would have hurt it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you give us more of this, then because most of my issues is that this lacks substance, because I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I think that despite all the production woes, this is a fun movie.
Yeah.
Like there is fun action, fun characters, a charismatic cast that has great chemistry, great music. A lot of stuff is hitting on all cylinders that I really like. I just think that it lacks emotional depth, and that could be solved by some sequels. I think like that could create, which was meant to happen. And I think that it's almost hard to judge this movie because it was clearly meant to be more.
Yeah.
And so maybe once you got Solo 2, Solo 3,
Solo, more Solo.
Yeah. So,
Solo 2, more Solo. Yeah.
Maybe once you get that, then you can look back at Solo retroactively and be like, oh, that's what they were doing with this character. Because that's not really fair when you're trying to write a character arc for a character that's 3 acts long and you only get act 1.
Yeah.
So I know it's like some of my complaints may be unfounded because of that, but again,
would you really want him to fight Darth Maul though?
So the Maul problem.
Oh.
This is. So while I just said that, like, this movie is really fun, and a lot of my issues that I have, lacking emotional depth, could be solved. This is not one of them. This is, as a Star Wars fan that likes fan service, it's, as an isolated event, it's fun. You have Ray Park and Sam Witwer coming together to do that. Cool.
Yeah.
This should not be in the movie at all, right?
for the amount it was in the movie, definitely. I don't hate, because I do really like in season 7 of Clone Wars, you see Maul talking, you see Dryden Voss.
Dryden Voss, yes.
So I do like that you figure out, oh, that's the Crimson part of Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
Is Darth Maul.
But like, that's retroactive too. Like season 7 of Clone Wars came out after.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying that like, I don't know if it needs to be in there as much as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because especially him activating the lightsaber.
Dude, that's so unnecessary.
I agree.
That's just like, they were like, oh, this is Darth Maul. Hey, in case you didn't realize.
Yeah.
No, this is him.
And the Duel of Fates is playing too on top
guys,
of that.
I'm telling you, it's Darth Maul.
Yeah. You thought he was dead.
And it distracts you.
Yeah.
Like, we've not even gotten to like the main resolution of Han Solo's character arc.
Yeah.
And like, you're completely thrown off by that.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Maul's here? And then when we cut to Han, you're like, I don't go back to Darth Maul. What's he doing?
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Such a mistake. And it feels very Marvel-y.
It does.
Very Marvel-y.
It feels like Thanos. Fine, I'll do it myself.
This is the change I would offer. Like if I could get in there like and mess, pull the threads. Save that for the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I think the movie works just as well, if not better, if you show Kira, like, Han Solo leaves. She's like, I'm going to be right behind you. I'm going to grab the gems. You get that great shot where she walks away, and the Rack's focused to the gems because that's not what she's doing. And she grabs the ring and, I'm going to lead Crimson Dawn now because she's been shifty this whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been like, what's her deal?
On this rewatch, it almost makes me wonder that it's like, did she ever care about him? Maybe in the very, very beginning.
Yeah. Or she's just using him to her own end.
Like, did she just want to get off Corellia in the beginning? Like it's.
Oh, I think she cared about him then.
At the very, very beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. And then
the novelization, I think, says that Dryden Voss bought her as a slave. Okay. So I think that I think she's just been kind of corrupted and like hardened, if you will.
Oh, no, definitely.
Because Han Solo is still a kid, like they meet and Kira she's kind of a hardened.
Oh, definitely.
I don't want to say criminal, but sort of,
she's his general or whatever. Yeah.
And Han is just still acting like that, just that kid back on Corellia.
Mm-hmm.
And she's grown up.
Yeah.
And she has to deal with this.
Unfortunately, people change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think she does still care, but her motives are a lot and aspirations are a lot higher now.
Oh, definitely.
So I think I like that moment at the end where the ship passes and you have them kind of lock eyes while she's in the window and he's down there.
Yeah. And he
knows.
That
just without Darth Maul. Just have her put on the ring, silently move the ship out and fly by Han.
Mm-hmm.
Do all that. And then in the sequel,
have her land on Dathomir.
She goes to Dathomir and that can be a wild reveal.
Yeah.
Like that's your, you get your opening. Maybe you get a fun cold open with Han and Chewie. They're doing something crazy. They arrive on Tatooine. They're doing a big score for Jabba the Hutt, whatever. And then you cut to
let's be honest, they're wrecking on a Tatooine.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then you get the yacht coming into Dathomir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, oh shoot, that's Darth Maul. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Because from an overall lore perspective, I'm completely on board with Darth Maul being in this position.
Oh yeah.
Of course it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it also fits in George's overall schemes for Darth Maul. If you've looked at, what the original ideas for the sequels were going to be, he's going to be the main villain, the big crime lord, right?
Yeah.
I'm on board with all that. I just think it takes too much wind out of the sails of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And really that's all anybody talked about. I remember seeing this spoiler before I went into the movie because I didn't care too much about the spoilers for this movie. And let's be real, there are no other spoilers for this movie.
Yeah.
What can you say? Boy, you're never going to believe this. Han Solo got the Millennium Falcon at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Riveting.
Did he?
Yeah.
He killed Beckett. That's really the only thing you could spoil.
Well, you could spoil Lando's droid is the navigation system in the Falcon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. You didn't mention that one earlier.
I mean, it's a cool detail. I just but are you
3PO
really
even talks about that?
Yeah, in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, peculiar dialect.
I liked your little impression there. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think Maul being in the movie better if it's removed?
I think that you could even show him from the back. He stays hooded.
Oh,
the whole time.
I almost think that's worse.
Why?
Because him being in it at all, like, because you still have the same problem. He still is taking the wind out of everybody.
Well, I'm just saying that like you can't tell who she's talking to.
Oh, he's just somebody.
Yeah, that you have Sam Witwer do it. Have him have glowing eyes.
Oh, if you have Sam, then you know.
It could be Maroc, Connor.
No, I think the only other way you do that, like if you're going that route,
Yeah.
you don't have a voice actor. It's modulated, and you see nothing. It's
Okay.
just a hooded figure.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that could work.
Mhm.
At least and then you have the Force Awakens speculation effect, where
Yeah,
it's like,
who could it be? Yeah.
and then you have years of like, oh man, is she a Sith? And that could have been fun.
And that was kind of what I was like, with like a hood, glowing eyes, like, is that Palpatine? Is it not Palpatine? Like, what's going on? Yeah. People could you imagine the speculation at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. My
think
goodness. That could have fueled a fandom for
like everything
years.
in this movie
Yeah.
in a vacuum, awesome.
Yeah.
And this scene in a vacuum, awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really love that Ray Park got to come back. I love his outfit.
Yeah.
I love how he looks.
Mhm.
I love how he sounds.
Yeah.
I love the anecdote of Sam Witwer, correcting Ron Howard on the type of lightsaber he needed to have because they had made his Phantom Menace lightsaber. He's like, no, I didn't have that. He needs to have this one.
Mm-hmm.
All great stuff. And I like how that kind of bridges a lot of mediums.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
Clone Wars, Rebels, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Down with it. It's just, it's very out of place in the Han Solo movie.
Yes. How long before Rebels does this take place?
5 years, I believe. This is the exact same time as Obi-Wan.
Okay.
So that's weird to think about. Leia is that 10-year-old girl.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she's older when they finally meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do have to talk about my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, we have to talk about like our favorite scenes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite thing.
Mhm.
This thing.
Oh, you don't even want to talk about a scene. You just want to talk about a.
Oh, I'm going to talk about a scene.
Okay.
But it involves one of the greatest ship designs in all of Star Wars. Unironically, this is the best Falcon design. I love, like, do you know why they designed it this way? Have you heard like their rationale for this, like what they were doing?
I mean, I just assume that it's because, it's Lando's Falcon.
Yeah, but it's
And
supposed to be like a 1970s like muscle car.
Okay.
Like it's supposed to evoke that sort of imagery.
Gotcha.
And I love how sleek this is.
Uh-huh.
I love it for not only because it looks cool, but the story implication too, because I love it being ripped apart
Yes.
in the Kessel Run and it becoming that hunk of junk by the time it lands. Because this looks this looks like a little hot rod.
It does. It looks very sleek in the movie too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love this design. And I was so enamored by this design that I bought, it's actually behind me, but I can't get it. The little Hot Wheels one.
Yeah.
And I took on a very old Instagram account, I did these things called The Adventures of the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing like little compositions.
Using that Falcon?
Yeah, it was before I ever got into toy photography.
Yeah.
And I just did like these little compositions with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then since I bought this one and I did a little weathering to it. But like I said, I love it. I love the little escape pod in here. I think that's a fun idea.
Oh, I love the idea too that like that's unfortunately a throwaway line in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Because don't you remember when when the Imperials are looking at it, like the escape pod's been jettisoned? Yeah, that they think that everybody's gone, but they're hiding in the compartments in the floor.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that this was ever meant to be where the escape pod was at.
No, I don't think so at all either.
This was, I read that one of the production designers, I think, or maybe one of the directors was like, this satisfied a curiosity he had as a kid.
Yeah.
Like why there was
what
a
would
fork.
fit there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So
I'll admit, I like the beat up, broken down Falcon way better than Lando's Falcon.
I know
it's okay.
It's a
I know you like
opinion.
it. Yeah. But I do like Han's look in this movie a lot. I like everybody's look in this movie a lot though too. Yeah.
Everybody's got a vibe.
They do.
The scene I was referring to, like my favorite scene, there's two. I think there are three, and they all involve the Falcon.
Yeah.
I think the first time Han sets foot in the cockpit is a really charming scene.
Yeah.
It's one of the few times you get like an actual moment with Han talking about like his feelings in this movie, which is great. I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
Because he talks about how his dad used to work on these things.
Yeah.
Is this a YT Corellian freighter? YT 1300?
YT 1300.
It's a YT 1300 Corellian freighter. My dad used to work on these. And he's like soft spoken. And then that moment, where they jump to hyperspace.
Oh yeah,
And
that
you know-
wonder on his face.
Do you know why that's special? Do you know how they filmed that? Have you ever heard this story?
No.
This is before the volume. They built
Oh,
a
screens, right?
yeah to actually get, because that's real what you see,
Mm-hmm.
but they wanted Alden's face to really reflect that,
Yeah.
because they are actually everything you see is real,
Mhm.
you know. And I love that shot because it's so much wonder in his face.
Yeah.
And then of course the Kessel Run is my other.
The
One of my
only thing
favorites.
I don't like about the Kessel Run is I think that it gets a little too goofy
Yeah.
in parts.
Yeah.
Like I love it. Like I love all the music that they use because they're throwing back to like the asteroid chase and Here They Come and like all these classic songs. But I do love the idea that, you know, a bunch of TIE fighters are chasing the Falcon as they're flying through the flying through the mall or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do hate when Beckett, when the gun gets hurt, he's like, I hurt my thumbs. That I was,
Yeah, it's a little
I'm just
goofy.
like, I'm like, dude, that's out of character. Like, in my opinion, yeah.
I think
Even
that my speculation is that was from one of the Lord Miller.
maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But and then I don't know how I feel about when they see the big creature, the Lovecraftian creature. They all go, wow, at the same time. Then I'm like, I think it's fun, but I don't know. It just feels like when you start thinking about Guardians, doesn't that seem like something you'd
It's a
see?
little silly,
It seems like you'd really see that in Guardians. Yeah, of all the.
That is the one thing that does take me out of it a little bit is
Mhm.
there's that shot where you see the mall,
Yeah,
you see that creature,
yeah.
you see the Falcon, and it's this like it's just ridiculous.
No, I agree.
And it's like
I
a
think
little too
skin
ridiculous.
gets ripped off.
I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
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 And then also, I do really like though, like in that scene, how the coaxium looks. Like like
Mhm.
that's like so like Chernobyl, where like the canisters are melting.
Yeah.
Like that is like all of that is
Real
done.
present
It's
danger.
done really, really well.
I really like it when the Falcon bonks the TIE fighter.
Oh, and then knocks it over into the
Yeah. One
that's
of my
cool.
favorite shots.
Yeah.
And then of course it ends in the best way. I love punch it and then it fails.
Yeah.
And then just
Oh, and that's what I'm talking about, where they all start flying back.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then like
Then it kicks in. Yeah.
the whole sequence is great.
Yeah.
And then the final Falcon scene is of course the final scene. It's awesome. The final scene of the movie.
Oh, where they're just sitting in the cockpit and
Yeah,
everything
the whole
talking.
thing, the Sabacc game.
Yes.
And then when they get in the Falcon and it's just him and Chewbacca. 'Cause I
Mhm.
love that Chewbacca gets to be a real character in this, by the way. I guess
Yeah.
I've not really talked about Chewbacca a whole lot.
Yeah.
I really love Chewbacca in this movie. He's
Mhm.
great.
Oh yeah.
But I just love, they're going to go to Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something that I think Chris Stuckman pointed, or no, I might have read it on IMDb. I don't remember. But both Rogue One and this movie end with a ship going to Tatooine. And then it's just a little fun fact for you.
Hmm.
Yeah. Tantive 4 and Rogue
Yeah.
One and then
Yeah.
Millennium Falcon and the end of this movie.
I guess all roads lead to the Dune Sea, right?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, mhm.
But so yeah,
Mhm.
I had to give a little bit of love to my favorite hunk
Technically,
of junk in
Yeah.
the galaxy.
I mean, it's the best ship in all of Star Wars.
It is. It's not my favorite ship.
Yeah.
My favorite will always be Anakin Starfighter, but this is a close second.
Yeah.
Close second. I think it's like the best, like, I don't know, like the Anakin Starfighter is like a starfighter, it's like
Yeah.
a small,
Mhm.
but this is like a ship, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? The different,
Well,
like,
yeah, and I would also say that, like, Anakin Starfighter is a prequel era ship. Like, this
Yeah.
is going to be your favorite Galactic Civil War ship.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah.
So love it.
Mm-hmm.
This is I always enjoy watching this movie just for these scenes. Like I love when they go to the impound yard.
Yeah.
You see it for the first time.
And that nice music motif. Yeah,
Yes.
as he's like looking and everything. And like you get I like to, gosh, we haven't even talked about him. I mean, I think now we just need to talk about it. That like let's talk about Donald Glover. I mean, Han Solo is not the only legacy character we get in this
yeah,
movie.
we talked about him a little bit.
A
at the top.
little, but I mean, like, like I like what he's doing. Some of the time, I think the accent's a bit much.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I really like what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he has a very strong opening scene.
Yes.
Very strong. When you
Yes.
see him playing Sabacc,
Yes.
I think that's terrific.
And I know you said you don't like it. I love that he's calling him Han because it's like he clearly
No,
doesn't
no,
like
no.
him.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just
It's
too
compounding.
too many
Yeah,
things
I
going
gotcha.
on. I think it's cute.
Yeah.
I like it. It's just
Yeah.
like I said, it's
In a
too
vacuum, it's great, but when you watch it all
Yes.
together, okay, I got you. I just like it because it's like they clearly don't like each other. And okay, I can get like I'm playing cards. I need to get under my opponent's skin. Yeah. That's all it is. Yeah.
That Sabacc scene is another
Mhm.
just this whole movie is just a series of just awesome little Star Wars short films.
It's true.
It's so, like awesome.
When it cuts and he's doing the Calrissian Chronicles.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes,
It's
like,
great.
That's awesome. And then to the I love the scene too where Han like points to the Falcon. We got 20 hired guns on there, and all I have to do is give a snap. And then like I can just imagine Lando in the cockpit being like and just leaving.
Yeah,
like
just
I don't
take it
care.
off.
Yeah. I don't care. It's not worth it. And just leaving.
Yeah.
Like so good.
Yeah.
He's
great.
good.
I
Yes.
think his weakest scene is the one when they go to the Falcon for the first time, because that's when I think the accent is like he's doing too much.
He is. It comes off kind of thick.
Well, it's interesting that he's doing like an impression.
Yeah.
Whereas Alden is doing his own thing, but I think that they both embody the characters very well, but in different ways.
Yeah.
So Glover is doing like a spot on, like he is the embodiment of what I would imagine a young Billy D would be as
like,
Lando.
Yeah.
It's a kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But Alden is not trying to do a young Harrison Ford.
No, but I think he's trying to be a young Han Solo.
Yeah, he's capturing that perfectly. I think some of his line deliveries are so Han Solo. It's awesome. Like I said, this guy just oozes charisma.
Yeah. It's weird. As we're talking about it, I'm like, man, I kind of want to go watch it again.
I know.
It's such an odd movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
As it's like, I would rather watch this movie over a lot of others.
Yeah.
But like I said, I like it in the way that I like a lot of Michael Bay Transformers movies. I like those movies.
Are you trying to tell me that this is a good movie, but it's not a good Star Wars movie?
No,
is that
it's
what you're saying?
Awesome Star Wars movie.
All right, I'm just worried. I'm like, okay.
No, I'm just saying, like,
which Michael Bay movies or which Michael Bay?
The first three.
Okay.
My whole thing that like I've been trying to suss out, because, like I said, I'm a nerd with this stuff. I like to like really look deep, and like I'm also a film nerd, so I look into that stuff.
Yeah, no.
And so I like this movie, but I really don't know why, because I'm like, it doesn't really have anything that I typically like with Star Wars. Like, I love the mysticism. I love the deep meanings. I love the tentpole story nature of Star Wars movies. Yeah. Like when you have clear lessons of good and evil and what you can take away from that. And like all these little lessons about life and redemption and all this stuff. This movie has none of that.
This is all just kind of the icing. Yeah. It's no cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Yeah, you're allowed to like icing.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that little treat from time to time. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That's why I enjoy throwing on a Transformers movie from time to time.
Yeah.
This is also why, by the way, I don't always watch like the original trilogy all the time.
Yeah.
I love those movies. They hold a very special place in my heart, as I'm sure that does you, and as I'm sure it does everyone else. I don't watch them all the time. One, because I don't like to dilute my experience with those movies, but also I like absorb those, and like it puts me in an emotional state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This movie doesn't. You know,
you could put this on while folding laundry.
Yeah, yeah, and I can like. There are nights, for example, not so much anymore now that I have a child. Yeah, but there were nights that like, okay, I'm done with stuff. I've had a day, long day of work. Maybe I've done a lot of housework. I've done a lot like yard work, whatever. I'm exhausted, physically, mentally, all this stuff. I just want to throw something on, maybe chill out. Doom scroll, do whatever, right? I don't want to throw on something that's going to really capture my attention.
Real heavy. Yeah.
But I can throw on Solo, and I can look up and, man, I'm having a great time with this train heist. Oh, I'm having a great time with the Kessel Run. Gosh, Chewbacca's so much fun. Yeah. Man, Lando, he's like really crushing this. I love this.
Yeah.
And then,
Kira, I would have liked to have seen some more of her.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately kind of
where it lands.
But like what you just said, like kind of wanting to go watch it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
got
fun.
that quality to it.
Again, that like, I think Rogue One has a really, really good act. I think that third act is incredible.
Yeah.
But I think the first two acts are just all right.
Yeah.
This, though, I think is pretty consistent the whole time.
Yeah.
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 So
that's true.
I think that's why it's a little bit more fun to
I guess, and that's interesting. Like, and that's,
I don't know. I don't think it ever reaches the heights of that third act in Rogue One. No, but its consistency is still really good throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So final verdict here then, before we'll go into our final topic, which is less about the movie and more like about how the movie was made, but final verdict, underrated or overrated? Like what you're still in the camp, underrated.
I still think that it's underrated.
Yeah.
That's just me. Yeah. I think this movie's worth your time.
Yeah.
I think that this movie gets shunned a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's like shun the non-believer.
I think that just talking this out, like I'm going to go underrated as well. I think that it's perfectly okay to be that icing movie,
Yeah.
you know, to be the candy, to be the dessert.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not trying to pretend to be anything it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's not badly written, right? Like there's
No. In fact, it's written by the same guy that wrote arguably the greatest Star Wars movie.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
true.
So weird.
Yeah. But I think there's something to be said about that, you know,
Yeah.
about like that. It's okay to just have movies that are fun.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's entertainment, right?
Yeah.
But also movies are art and they have messages and things like that. And I think that you can steer too far into when your movie's trying to say something or when your movie's trying to be art and then it's maybe not written well or doesn't get things across, it can not be fun.
Yeah.
We've had some of those and it could, at worst, it could be boring, you know, things like that. This movie is, I don't think, trying to be anything like that. I don't think it's trying to say a whole lot. And I think it's just trying to be fun. And I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think ultimately, yeah, it's a switch your brain off kind of Star Wars movie, but emphasis on Star Wars movie because it really is, I think, Star Wars in some of its purest form that we've ever got.
Mm-hmm.
Like look at a lot of the stuff in the Disney era, you know, people praise Rogue One for being like pure Star Wars. I'll agree that third act very much so.
Yeah.
Those first two, I think the pacing, we already had a whole episode about this. We don't need to relitigate it, but the pacing really suffers.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, I think, has pretty terrific pacing for the most part. But it's just pure Star Wars fun for most of it.
And it's that other side of Star Wars. No rebellions. It's just criminal underworld.
Yeah.
Right and wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in a different world, this would have been an awesome foundation to a trilogy.
Yeah.
Awesome foundation to a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about how this movie was made because I find this incredibly fascinating. A little topic before we jump into the fan questions.
Arguably even more fascinating than the movie itself is how this thing got made.
The Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, they come in to direct this. You know, they're more known for comedy, improv and things like that. Lawrence Kasdan doesn't like that. He wrote the movie. And so long story short, Ron Howard comes in kind of in the 11th hour and ends up reshooting about 70% of the movie when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Pretty quick turnaround time by the time we get to editing and release, which is, I think, part of why some of this suffers. And I think part of the depth that we lose too, Dryden Voss was originally not Paul Bettany. I forget the original actor's name. He was going to be in it. And then scheduling conflict with the reshoots.
Also an alien.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so scheduling conflict caused that actor to have to exit the project. They brought in Paul Bettany pretty much last minute. They shot all of his scenes. That's probably why he's not in it a whole lot. And
they shot them all what? They just shot all of its scenes? Or like, I thought you were going to say like shot them all in like a day and a half or something like that.
I don't know how long it took.
Okay.
Because Ron Howard came in on the last 3.5 weeks of principal photography.
It's crazy.
But then there was rampant reshoots. Like he reshot 70% of the movie. Like I said, like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. That's like Joss Whedon Justice League stuff.
Yeah.
Which if we ever get there, boy, you want to hear some hot takes from me, see me fuming, I'll talk about that movie. The movie frustrates me. But I think Ron Howard does a good job with what he was given, but the whole situation is kind of frustrating because Lucasfilm has had a history of this where they don't let creators just create.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually a very fascinating juxtaposition when you look at The Last Jedi, because The Last Jedi is arguably the opposite. You gave a director
complete freedom
with virtually no oversight and no top-down meddling at all.
Mm-hmm.
And like or hate The Last Jedi, I don't hate it, but I don't really care for the movie that much. It does take a lot of risks, and I would call it a very creative endeavor.
It's a competent film. It just in the vacuum of that trilogy, I don't know. Yeah.
I think there is competency in that movie. I mean, Rian Johnson is a terrific director. I can't say anything about, we've talked about that before, but what is crazy is the flip-flop here. It's like in a main saga film, you'll give Rian Johnson complete creative control, to allow him to make these massive risks with legacy characters in the future of the franchise and all this stuff.
In fact, you changed JJ's movie because of stuff that was happening in Ryan's movie. Yeah.
But then Solo, these guys can't make a few jokes and because it messes with the script too much.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy. And you've seen a pattern of this where like how many directors have signed on and then signed off because they're like creative differences.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
And so this happened for many years. And so I think we have to ask the question, like, why did this flop? Because as we're saying, like, this is a fun movie.
Yeah.
You know, average, you know, I think most people come down on that. Like I said, we said at the top, either people really love this movie or they think it's just okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's a flop. I don't hear that and think flop. I think that probably would perform pretty well.
Yeah.
So what happened? Why did this movie fail? Why didn't we get sequels? And I have some analysis here that I think is just really interesting. And I'm just going to lay out some timeline and we'll just discuss that and we come to some conclusions. So for Solo, as far as I can tell, the first, so these Solo and Rogue One were announced in 2013 as like solo projects.
Yeah.
We just knew that like there would be some spin-off movies. One was going to be about Han Solo. It's really all we knew. And Lawrence Kasdan was going to write. We don't really hear anything other than maybe just some like director news, things like that until 2016, where we get a panel at Celebration, but it's butted up after a Last Jedi panel. It doesn't get its own panel. And I could be wrong. I've looked everywhere. I can't find any dedicated panel for just Solo at Star Wars Celebration in 2016.
I was there. I don't remember them talking about Solo.
2017, I also could not find anything for Solo.
Interesting.
And that could be because I believe in January 2017 is when they began reshoots.
Yeah.
Or it's either when they started, no. Maybe that's when they started principal photography. No, that's when they started. Principal photography was in January 2017, which is weird why they didn't do anything for, maybe because they didn't want to steal any thunder from The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But they did nothing for Solo. As far as I can tell, no panels or anything major in 2017 for Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Again, please, someone correct me if I'm wrong, because I looked and I couldn't find anything. But I'm not an expert when it comes to Celebration. Either way, let's say maybe they did something small in Celebration. Doesn't really change the rest of it. First teaser trailer, February 4th of 2018. Release date, May 25th of 2018. How many months is that?
Huh? 2? Something like that.
Yeah. March, April, May. 3.
Yeah.
3 months to get hyped for the movie. And that's right after February. That's less than 2 months after TLJ comes out.
Yeah.
That's just under 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Let's compare that to Rogue One first. Announced officially in March of 2015. A full panel at Celebration Anaheim in 2015. Introduced during Celebration of 2016. A teaser trailer April 7th of 2016. And then released December 16th of 2016. Count the months on that one. That's over 6 months. That's about seven months.
That's
8
usually
months.
what you do. Yeah.
8 months of hype. And I remember when that trailer came out. I remember when each trailer came out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, we knew ahead of time these were going to come out. And okay, we get excited about it. Whole basically year of buildup to this movie. Let's go to The Last Jedi. What was The Last Jedi's production schedule like? February 15th of 2016. Production announcement teaser. You remember that?
Yeah. They were showing stuff off.
Yeah, very brief, but it was like they showed Luke and they showed Rey, and they were like, episode 8 officially in production, and they had like Rian Johnson and the crew there. That's 2016. Okay. February 15th, 2016. Official teaser, April 14th, 2017. Release date, December 15th, 2017. Almost exactly the same as Rogue One.
Yeah.
Right. Full panels. Celebration was all Last Jedi centered, right? You were there. You remember.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Solo, nothing, no fanfare, no marketing. They did the posters, I remember, and they even got some flack because I think they got into some hot water about maybe plagiarizing from album covers or something. But do you remember much about those trailers? I think there was a teaser and an official.
Yeah. No, not really.
No, not really. I remember the Rogue One ones. I remember them very well. Yeah. Nothing for Solo.
Mm-hmm.
So then it comes out, and of course, we can't skip over the fact that this came out right after The Last Jedi. The fan base was very split. After
It's almost
the movie,
like it was doomed to fail. Is that what you're kind of getting?
It was. I think it was completely doomed to fail.
Yeah.
And then when it comes out, Disney blames like the fans, the box office and stuff. Like Iger, I should have pulled the quote, but Iger has said a couple times, it's like, yeah, we went too hard on Star Wars. We were releasing too much all at once, and the Solo's box office was so disappointing. And then they pulled everything. You know, I mean, we haven't gotten another movie since. I mean, we got Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
But we've not gotten anything since it because of Solo.
Mm-hmm.
How wild is that? And it's like, what decisions have come from Solo and from their own fault? I think another thing we're talking about casting, you know, now these days in the community about fan casts, like deep fakes and things like that. Like, do we do the deep fake route like we've done in Mando and Book of Boba with Luke, or do we do this? And I think that they look at this and say, oh, fans don't want the OT to be recast.
Yeah.
That's the wrong message here. I think people loved Alden.
Yeah.
I think people were surprised by Alden. And people loved Donald Glover as Lando.
Yeah.
I think people would accept someone as Luke. It would take me a minute, but I would accept someone as Luke.
Yeah. Just got to find the right person.
And it's like, I just think the Solo, The Last Jedi sort of wombo combo, if you will, has made Disney sort of creative cowards ever since. You get bright spots from time to time. Like I think letting John come in with The Mandalorian was a big move. And they really needed him to be creative because that hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
And so, but it's almost been an isolated incident because look after that. The meddling really started right away. Like season 1 of Mando is probably the best we've gotten, like as far as Star Wars television.
Just being pure.
Except for Andor.
Yeah.
Like as far as like just no meddling. I mean, Tony Gilroy's really been allowed to just do what he wants, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
Like or hate Andor. It's just impressive that he's been able to do that. And I think that comes down to contract. He was very adamant about 2 seasons, you know, and I get to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Solo is sort of an interesting case study because it's like, it was not the movie's fault. It wasn't the fans that failed this movie. It wasn't even the production that failed this movie because despite the production woes, like it turned out kind of good.
Yeah. Disney
Disney
could be way
failed.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disney failed this movie.
Yeah.
You gave fans 2 months to be hyped about this movie after they had already had to like this big sort of emotional experience with DLJ, whether they loved it or they hate it. I mean, you got to kind of come down from that.
Yeah.
And then you don't market the movie. Of course it's going to flop. And then you take all the wrong lessons from it and it's just silly. And then you make all your fans mad because they did kind of want to see this. They wanted to see what came after it. And then you're like, well, no, you guys hated it. Sorry. Like, well, you guys just, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. I think that this was, looking back in hindsight, I think this is the beginning of sort of the...
this was the kink in the armor.
Yeah.
Like this was the true, I think.
Yeah.
That this is the true, like, oh, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's really, really wrong. Yeah.
Well, there should always be like a fine line between, like, I mean, at the end of the day, movie making is a business. You know? But it's also an art form.
Yes.
And you need to respect the art form as well. And if you don't respect the art form, then it's not going to make you money in the long run. Yeah, you can do a lot of cheap tricks, but it's only going to last so long.
Yeah. Before we're done, though, you kind of brought it up for like a second. It is pretty cool that George Lucas helped with a part of this movie.
Yeah.
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 Do you know about it? I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because he came on because he's buddies with Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read an anecdote that it was phrased like he was told or he said that he wouldn't interfere, but he forgot and gave some direction to Han Solo.
Yeah. Again, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those at home, it's when Han and Kira are sharing a moment in Lando's wardrobe. Han doesn't hang the cape back up. He just drops it as he's kissing her.
Oh, is that his input?
That's what I've heard.
I didn't know that.
I've heard that that's what his input was, that Han wouldn't care about. In that moment, Han would not care at all about hanging the cape back up.
That's great.
That's what I've heard. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm like, that does seem like a total Han Solo kind of thing. Because that does feel, again, that's another one of those things. It feels very much like that Empire Strikes Back scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I guess this is another thing for the audience. If you're going to watch it, scroll through on your TV, the different picture qualities, because it's wild. I was on cinema and I changed it to standard and I'm like, this is better. Like, it is crazy how dark this movie is. I remembered that the Kessel Run and when they're in the Falcon was dark. This whole movie's dark.
Yeah.
There's a shadow on everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is wild.
I don't know if my TV was just calibrated better for this type of movie, but I didn't have as much of an issue with it this time, but in previous viewings, yes, it's always been super dark.
Dark film. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they decided to do that. But again, it does kind of fit that like Marvel mold that
where it's everything's super gray.
Yes. A lot of this movie is very, very gray. And which I feel like that, you know, you're swashbuckling through the galaxy. Colors should be popping left and right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. This film kind of has like almost an identity crisis at times.
A little bit.
Like, yeah, you're right. Like it's very fun adventure, but very gray.
Yeah.
Like, well, why though?
I think it really starts picking up when they meet Lando.
Oh,
like, I like the whole idea where it's
I love
like
the train heist.
Yeah, it's
Right
cool.
before
I
that.
wish you could see more during that of like what Infus Nest is doing, her crew, that they're trying to hook the car up to their speeders, because that just kind of happens.
Yeah.
But like that was my only like critique of that, is that I'm like, they should have really shown a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't really have much critique over any like particular scene. I think all the scenes are fun.
Yeah.
I just wish there was more to add depth. That's all.
Yeah. I would have, I guess if I was writing it, rather than just name dropping a couple different bounty hunters, show another bounty hunter. Like, because they name drop Bosk and name drop Ara Singh.
Which that's wild that she just died. Right?
Yeah. That it's just like, oh, well, the fall killed her. Like he pushed her. Yeah. That I'm like, wild.
Yeah.
Wild. That I am really curious now about the novelization, because you can get more out of a novel a lot of times. I kind of want to read the Solo novelization and see if maybe I could get a little bit more out of the story.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, the Revenge of the Sith novelization expands a lot, and it is a lot of fun. So I would be kind of curious to see if maybe maybe there's a little bit more of the Calrissian Chronicles.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, man, this is a movie I can watch at any time.
Yeah.
Despite, I know I was being very critical, but despite my criticisms, it's something that I can always watch. I can always have fun with.
Yeah.
I wish there was more.
I wish there was more. I wish that we got more of these characters. Like, I know that like in Crimson Reign, Kira shows back up.
Yeah, you get a lot with her in the comics.
But it's not much. Like, but it's really not much. Like, I mean, like, I want to know more about her. Really, that not just like, okay, cool, she's the boss now.
Yeah,
yeah. But even like, I think Beckett's an interesting character. Like, I kind of felt for him at the very end when he gets shot, and he's just like, "You made the right move. I was gonna kill you." Like, it's like. I mean, and then too that he said that he really was gonna learn how to play that one instrument for Val or whatever. That I'm like, crazy that like in his ending moment, he's still thinking about her. There are blips,
right? There are blips of really great character moments. Like it just, I wish there was more.
Yeah.
I wish there was more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That could be the thesis of this whole thing. I wish there was more of this.
Oh, I'm sure there's more on the cutting room floor and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just mean like, I wish they continued it. Like I wish there was.
Again, if they had a comic animated series, I don't understand. Like what I said at the beginning, 3 episodes about Han and Chewie, 3 episodes about Kira, 3 episodes about Lando. Done.
Like you said, Solo is just such an interesting case. It's so interesting. But okay, I think it's about time we hear from the homies at home and the fan questions. Take it away.
Clear your mind.
All right, you guys know the drill. Every week I put a prompt on Instagram asking you guys your opinion on the topic of the week. Of course, this week it is about Solo, a Star Wars story. I almost did that without stuttering a word, but then I did it on Solo. Look at that. And also, we've added a new segment, a fan spotlight, where every now and again we're going to talk about some stuff that you guys are doing, amplify your guys' voices. So anything that you guys are doing, you think is cool, art, music. You put together just like a neat compendium, I don't know.
Yeah. Something you worked on that you're proud of.
Yeah. Something like that. It doesn't need to be crazy. It doesn't need to be anything insane. Just something that you just want to show off.
Yeah. Show us.
Like you met Sam Witwer at an airport.
Yeah.
You got a picture. So that you just want to show it off.
I drew this on a napkin. I thought it turned out really well.
Yeah.
Show us. We want to see it.
And this week we didn't get anybody who wanted to share anything.
No.
But I think it's because there's a little bit, maybe too much pressure on you guys. We had a great artist last week and a really great artist the week before.
Yeah.
So just like I said, we're just having fun. We're just promoting your guys' voices, and like even if it's just I had a fun little story from when I was a kid or something, you know. We just want to amplify your guys' voices.
Exactly.
Keep paying it forward. That's half the fun of the show is, you know, the interaction with you guys. So
no pressure, but we want to share.
Yeah. So even if it's a work in progress, you're like, hey, I got this like sketch that I've been working on. I think it's kind of fun. Send it over. Or we talked about toy photography a couple weeks ago. I know that some of you guys have sent me that you started toy photography, which is really cool. If you guys want us to share, let us know and we will share.
Yeah.
It's so fun. We just want to, this community, we're very proud of how supportive you all are. And I know that
we want to support you guys in your endeavors because you support us in our endeavor.
So hit us up. You can always DM us on Instagram. You can throw a comment down on the YouTube video, or of course you can send us an email. You can see in our links. I think it's in our description. It's on the
LinkedIn page.
It's the link tree.
Yeah. Link tree.
Yeah. Okay. Fan questions. Aaron isn't qualified. If you had to recast one character in this film, who would it be?
Oh, you know, I would get rid of Woody Harrelson. I think he does a good job. Or maybe make him an alien. Who would you recast?
Just reacting.
Okay, I'm just curious. I think that at times he is just being Woody Harrelson. So he would be the one that I think has to go out of everybody. Or no, because like the whole thing is the situation. Because like Paul Bettany also I think could go, but like there's so little Dryden Voss. What can you really get upset about? I mean, he came in, he did his gig. Yeah. Whatever. I also want to know about the scars. Have you heard about that? Like when he gets angry, his scars open up. Well, that would have been cool to know about.
That's all completely in post-production, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. I read that.
Huh.
Paul Bettany said he was surprised when he saw the final thing because he's like, oh, huh.
Interesting. They just decided to do that?
Yeah, I guess.
It's wild to me. Again, there's just stuff that, okay.
The Black Series figure, when you dipped it in hot water.
Oh, it would show the scars, right? Yeah. Those Black Series figures are really good. Like the photo reel on their faces, I feel like.
The new ones, yeah. Oh, you mean the solo ones?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're not bad.
I think that they're surprisingly
Lando
good
one is really good.
I think they're surprisingly good for their era. That's what I was kind of like more meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Woody Harrelson was an artifact of the Lord Miller cut. Because I mean, he's an improv. He's a comedy guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recast anybody. I really like this cast.
Okay. Well, if you had to.
If I had to?
Yeah. Who's got to go?
I would almost say L3, but I think the actor does a great job. I just don't like the character that much.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's fair.
Gotcha.
Because I actually think that the performance makes that character tolerable.
Yeah.
Because she's funny. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, right? Isn't that who plays L3? And then, do you know Anthony Daniels plays that Wookiee that Chewbacca has a moment with?
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so he's been in every movie.
Yeah, what about Rorick Davis?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Warwick Davis, we didn't make the plug. ICCC. It's next week.
Yeah.
Nashville, Tennessee, because Warwick Davis is going to be there. But we're going to be there, and it's going to be a ton of fun. So if you're going to be there in the Nashville area, hey, look out for us. We'd love to say hello. We're going to be there all 4 days, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's also going to be a lot of great guests. There's Warwick Davis, Billy D. Williams, speaking of Lando.
Yeah.
Dennis Lawson, Timothy Zahn, Mark Thompson, tons of, like you said, like Kenner legends.
Yeah.
A bunch of great guests. So it's a great time. Come on out to ICCC. I always forget how many C's I need, but there's three. It's 3 C's.
3 C's.
Yeah. But it's in Nashville, Tennessee. Man, I don't know. If I had to recast one, I guess Dryden. I think I like Paul Bettany, but I think this is kind of a weak outing for Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'd recast him with, though.
Gotcha.
PTRWDMNN. I love it so much and really wanted some sequels. Great buddy movie, awesome cast. I agree.
I agree too.
Strider2902. How would you feel if Disney used Alden Ehrenreich again for projects set after the Galactic Civil War? It's an interesting question.
It's 5 years later. I think I would prefer that over a deep faked Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Because we watched the opening of Indy. It looks good sometimes, and there's other times it's really distracting.
I kind of love that opening. Indiana Jones 5.
It is good, but you got to admit that sometimes it's distracting.
It is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not perfect, but
Sometimes
I think for that movie, it's cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting that like to bookend like the OT with another actor on both sides, I think is a little odd.
Yeah.
But in a way, Alden is now a legacy actor.
Yeah.
And so it only makes sense to keep him coming back. Cause I wouldn't want like several people to keep playing Han Solo. I think that would be strange. So yeah, bring him in. I mean, he's already established as the character. I think that you've already got that rapport with the audience.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as much of a shock because it's going to be a shock with anybody. It's not going to be as much of a shock if it's Alden again. So I'd be game with that. Rippic_tan, super fun movie. The score has grown on me so much since the release. Great characters, definitely need more Donald as Lando. Quote, that's a custom piece. Dude, Donald as Lando is great. And I read that the rumors of the Lando series being canned were a little over exaggerated because he came out and said that he's still working on it. So I don't know. You keep hearing this with Star Wars projects.
I know.
So
I heard yesterday that Taika's film has now been put on indefinite. Yeah.
And the Rey movie is supposedly delayed.
No way, really?
Yeah, till or at least 2025.
Why?
Just issues with the script.
I just don't get it. How's this hard? Whatever. I do want to hear.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the meddling. They keep
it's so weird.
They won't let creatives just be creative.
Let it. It's so weird to me.
Crafting_on_Ilum, favorite character in the movie.
Han.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either Han or Chewbacca for me.
Yeah.
I really like Han.
Lando's a close second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, the cast is great. No, Darth Maul. He's my favorite.
Oh, he's your favorite? Yeah. Darth Maul. I would put Kira's up there too. Because I think she's really interesting. And I think it's sad that like Disney hasn't utilized that.
Yeah.
I think that she's an interesting character.
Well, they have, I think, utilized her quite a bit, just not in live action.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting at. Where it's like, you have Emilia Clarke. Do it.
Ashton Sherritt. It's too bad fandom won't let stories unfold. One of the coolest cliffhangers in this one. I will have to respectfully push back on that comment, Ashton. I don't think it's the fandom in this case. I think it's definitely Disney.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely Disney's fault that they, I mean, yes, the fans didn't go watch it to bring the box office up, but how many campaigns were out there make Solo 2 happen?
Yeah.
I have not seen a campaign against it. Like, again, comparing it to the Acolyte, yes, there's been fervent response to like, I hate the Acolyte, let's keep it canceled, all this stuff. Like, I want it canceled before that was happening. I didn't see that for Solo. People just didn't go watch it, but that was, again, by the things we were talking about. They didn't market the movie.
And with that cliffhanger with Solo, I think that would get more people, more butts and seats because people want to see Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was the fandom. And even, because again, I think that this is, and maybe I'm reading too much into Ashton's comment here, but partly in reference to the Acolyte. But I don't think even in that case, it was the fandom. I mean, Disney ultimately decided not to greenlight.
Yeah.
And from what I understand with their numbers, like I see mixed reports. Sometimes their numbers show that they had high viewership and sometimes not.
Yeah.
But all kind of comes back to.
And everybody was watching it. I mean, yeah.
Even hate watches as numbers.
People were still doing that.
Oh, Greg Foskett, looking back, I wish I saw Clone Wars earlier and it didn't come out after Last Jedi. Underrated. 100%. And I know a lot of people share this sentiment where they didn't see Clone Wars and they were like, Darth Maul, what in the world?
Yeah.
What? You know, which is another reason why that decision is kind of odd.
It is crazy.
It's like, man, what whiplash he had to get. Like, I know Tony, Star Wars Sith 66, he was one of these people where
he's watching the movie.
He hadn't seen the animated.
What?
That's why he went, because, you know, Maul's his favorite character. He went and binged the animated shows after watching this. So I think that's, again, another aspect of this movie that's kind of odd.
It's interesting. Living in infamy.
Yeah. I love this from Aegis_QP. No. That's it. Just no.
No. What was your question? Would you want more?
I just put the prompt was Solo, a Star Wars story, ? No.
Well, that's okay. You don't have to like it. That's what
I thought that was really funny. Katosaurus.rex. I'd find the movie way more appealing if the color palette wasn't so drab.
Man, always coming in with those good takes.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
I think that would have leveled up this movie quite a bit.
Oh,
If it was
dude,
a little more
we
colorful.
talked about it. Like, it's weird. Like, them talking, and
Yeah.
it's like, where is the sun? Because they both have. I'm telling you, man. There's the part with him. The part with him and Beckett talking. There is shadow on both their faces.
Yeah.
They're out in the open. Like, I don't. Oh my gosh. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Whatever.
Yeah. It's a deliberate choice too. It's what's strange.
Oh yeah.
BC_Scrubs. I think the issues during filming sunk this movie before it had a chance. I'd love a sequel. Again,
Ditto.
It's Disney failed the movie. The fans didn't fail the movie. I'll stick by that. Blore on Mandalore with a spicy take.
Uh-oh.
I think Alden had a better portrayal of Han than Harrison Ford. Thoughts? Jeremy, you know we love you, buddy. That, you're always rocking that stash. Great.
Yeah.
It's not getting you out of this one. Okay. That's a take, my friend.
I was gonna say no. I mean, how do you? No. Again, Alden does a good job being proto Han Solo.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll say that Alden does a better job of Han Solo than Harrison Ford in Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
even that's a hot take. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I mean, Harrison Ford is
it's
Han.
me. Like, I mean,
I think Harrison Ford has such a potent personality, though.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough thing to say.
Yeah.
But I know that, to Jeremy's credit, I believe this is one of, if not his favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh.
So it makes sense.
There you go.
So, but hey, that's okay.
Mhm.
I always like hearing takes like that because it's like, it's nice to see people who don't just have the same opinion over and over again.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's great.
I do like that Alden gets to do more than what Han Solo ever got to do. Like, I love that, like, he's trying to bring a gun to a knife fight at the end. And like, he actually, like, when Lando throws him his blaster and he finally gets to shoot a little bit.
That's great. That's a great scene.
I'm like, dude, like, I want more of this.
I think that's one of the few times in the movie where he really is trying to mimic Harrison.
Yeah, he looks a lot like
he's doing that. Harrison always held the gun kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it's become part of that silhouette.
Mhm.
Like I have a figure over there where it is Harrison holding the gun. And you guys know it's in that way. Yeah, it's like that.
Mhm.
And Alden's doing that. Lando's doing it. It's awesome.
Look at our thumbnail.
Or
our little logo.
Our logo. Yeah, it's you doing it.
What am I emulating?
Yeah.
I'm just closing my eyes and thinking about Han, and then like I try to emulate that. Yeah. So
Josh Rice, I wish we could get a continuation, whether it be a movie or series. Me too.
Yes. Book, comic, something. I'd check it out.
Adam.c.gilbert. Thoughts on the OG drop day in May versus December and favorite world we're introduced to in Solo, Corellia. Okay.
I got a weird question though. What was coming out in December that year? I'm sure there was something they didn't want to go up against.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was
I was just about to say, I think there was something like this. And I tried to look this up. I could not. Was Rogue One initially supposed to be a May drop? Do you remember?
I don't have
I swear it was supposed to come out in May and then they delayed it because I
pushed it.
I thought that was my rationale for thinking that they were going to push Solo because I have very potent memory of I was certain they were going to push this movie.
Yeah.
And I thought that was why.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't find anything about that when I looked it up.
I bet
Am I making that up?
I bet no, I have no idea. I just think that now that I'm really thinking about it, I bet something was coming out in December.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we can't mess with that.
It could
we just
be.
can't. And it's like, you guys are foolish, but whatever.
I think May was a horrible idea.
Yeah,
I know that they
exactly.
were trying to be like, oh, May 25th, Star Wars Day, let's do it. Because that's it, right? 25th? Is it 25th?
That's the technical Star Wars Day.
Like, we got to do that. But I mean, Star Wars is, I think TFA made it like a tradition. I love the December drops.
Yeah, me too.
Favorite world we're introduced to in Solo? Honestly, most of them are kind of uninteresting. But I do really like Corellia and I really like the Snow Planet.
I like I do like that when you're really paying attention that you can see the Star Destroyers are being built on Corellia.
Yes, I love that too.
Other weird detail on Corellia that I like that I noticed on this rewatching, just the kids were playing Sabacc.
Yes.
When they're running through. Yeah, you could hear them saying the different hands.
I know.
And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
A little bit foreshadow.
Well, it's why Han knows how to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he acts like he doesn't. I'm trying to think of my favorite location in this movie. Probably the Snow Planet. I don't remember what that is, but I like that explosion's really cool when all the coaxium explodes.
They filmed an explosion at high frame rates underwater for the inspiration for the VFX of that.
Interesting.
I love something we didn't talk about, but on the planet where which I think is the snow planet. I think it's the same planet where they meet Lando. Is that the same?
No.
Do they leave? Do
Yeah, they
actually
go-
leave?
yeah, they go to a different
because
place.
they leave because they
His ship's impounded. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that planet that they're on where they meet Lando, that scene and the whole movie, so many aliens.
Yeah.
Which is great with this movie. I
Give me
think
more puppets.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yes.
Star Wars Sith 66, just talking about you. When Maul popped up at the end, how did that make Seth feel? His arch nemesis returns.
I really like in that scene that Kira's eyes light up with his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like you see the red in her eyes, and I'm just like, I like where this is going. Like okay, this is cool. Han's girlfriend ain't so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's done some stuff. Tony, I just was kind of like, huh, okay. I guess that's where we're going with this. Like I knew that he was still alive in the canon and everything at that point. So I was like, okay.
We're surprised.
Yeah, I was not surprised that like I was surprised he was there, but I wasn't like shocked or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. I did think the Duel of Fates playing was a little bit of overkill when he ignites the lightsaber.
I agree. It was
Yeah.
too much of like, remember?
Yeah. Hey, this is cool.
Nick's Toy Picks. So underrated in my top 3 Star Wars movies with
That's
a little.
That's a tall
Emoji.
order. That's
That's what I'm saying. People either love this movie or they
Yeah.
think it's just okay.
I dig it. I don't think that it's not my top 3, that's for sure.
And final question from Tyler J. Grubbs 90 for the story and plot for the movie. What are your thoughts on this? For me, my rating is 7 out of 10 for it. That's a great segue into our rating. We need to rank this thing.
This is true.
It fell in bottom of B tier in our tier list that we did, almost a year ago.
I know.
We did say at the time we were going to try to do that once a year.
Yeah, to revisit and everything.
Maybe it's almost time. I got to re-rank all the Star Wars movies and shows.
Gosh.
Wild.
Might have to let it simmer a little
Let it
bit
simmer
longer.
a little
Yeah,
longer.
a little longer. Yeah. Feels like yesterday that we just talked about that. Yeah.
It does not feel like a year ago.
No.
Where do you got it?
I think that it's fine where it's at.
Fine
I think
by
maybe
movie.
it could be in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's definitely not A tier by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's C tier either.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for the plot of the movie, I really do like the idea that it's kind of built around a heist. And then also you have all these different characters that have different motives that are kind of stuck together in this situation. So I think that that's the makings of a really good movie right there.
Yeah. Honestly, it gave me Pirates of the Caribbean vibes from time to time.
Yeah.
Which
Again, I
love
think
those movies.
Yeah. And I was going to say, it reminded me a lot of Guardians this time around, in which I like that movie or those movies too. So yeah.
I'm fine with it being in B tier as well.
Yeah.
I'm 7 out of 10, honestly. It's probably where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's good fun. Just good fun.
Yeah.
Not a lot of depth, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine from time to time. I just want, if it's going to be good, dumb fun, I want it to be competent, good, dumb fun, which I think Solo is.
Yeah.
Surprisingly so, given all of its issues.
The woes.
Which I think a lot of credit to Ron Howard for being able to do that.
Mhm.
It's silly that there was so much creative differences to begin with. You know, who knows where we weren't there, but Ron Howard was able to put together, I think, a really cohesive product by the end of it, and a nice just adventure, nice story, and it's competent.
I want his daughter to do a sequel series.
Bryce Dallas Howard, have her do Solo too, man. With gosh, that would be fun to have. Like, you have Han and Chewie as your A plot, and then like Kira on Dathomir for your B
with Maul.
plot.
Yeah.
That'd be so wild. Like, just to see
that juxtaposition of those two things going on.
Yeah, because you hear, when she takes down the Pike, she's like, I learned Taras Kasi from Dryden Voss. Like, where did he learn it from? Clearly.
Exactly. Yeah.
From Maul.
Dude, I nerded out. There's my like nerd out, Tony. When I heard Taras Kasi, because that's from that stupid Star Wars fighting game from the 90s. What a deep cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
All right, guys, that was really fun. And next week we will keep you posted. We have some plans because next week, like we said, is ICCC in Nashville, Tennessee. Once again, So next week's show, we're kind of moving some things around. So we may be doing a live show from the convention, not from like in the convention, but from Tennessee.
That area, yeah.
That may be what we do next week. We're still kind of talking some plans. We have some
talking shop, trying to figure out what we can do.
There is a small possibility we will not have a show next week, just with the convention, because we're going to be making content. We're going to be having a great time down there. We have some stuff that we're going to be doing, but we have intentions to do a live show while we're there. It's just, if we can figure out logistics.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted. Keep an eye on the socials and whatnot. Like I said, kind of get things moved around for the convention. It's going to be a really good time. We're really looking forward to seeing everybody and making some fun videos. We're really excited. We have some plans.
Yeah.
It's just some fun stuff that
got
we're
some
going to do.
ideas.
We have a couple of things down the pipeline. And then after that, have you guys seen the Kai Patterson cut of Ahsoka? We've not watched it yet, but we want to watch it because
we kind of started with Ahsoka.
And next Sunday, I believe, is actually the anniversary of the finale of Ahsoka. So thought it'd be really a fun way to revisit the series and kind of talk about fan edits and how they exist in sort of the Star Wars ethos.
That's art.
Yeah.
So using someone else, I'm curious.
Fun discussion to be
It'll
had.
be an interesting discussion.
So we're going to be talking about the fan edit. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then right after that, or sometime after that, we know you guys love the tier lists.
Yeah.
Lightsaber tier list. Lightsaber hilt tier list. Who doesn't like a good lightsaber, huh?
An elegant weapon. For more civilized age.
It's going to be a good time. So those are some things to look forward to. Once again, Nashville, Tennessee next week, ICCC. Can't wait to see you guys there. Maybe a live show. Maybe not. We will keep you guys updated on socials.
Yeah.
But probably not same Dune time. But if we do a show, it's definitely going to be the same Dune channel. But as always,
it's going to be Dune in time.
We'll see you next week or the week after. See you at ICCC.